Hello friends, welcome to Srini's Academy. In today's session, we are going to talk AWS Athena and we will do a hands-on lab, how we can read the data from S3 without bringing, traditionally, you might have already uh, experienced loading the data through EMR or Redshift or any other AWS tools. But in all those scenarios, you would be bringing the AWS services. In this case, our use case is pretty simple. You have your data sitting on S3 and how soon we can query the data and analyze and provide the feedback back to our business. So traditionally, like if you take any data files are coming from whether your internal sources or external sources, you used to depend more on the DBAs to create the tables and then ETL developer writing a code to load the data. Once the data is loaded, then analysts, data ETL team and data architects used to do a data analysis, data profiling, where you can query the data and go back and communicate that, hey, this data looks good, it doesn't look good, or we have agreed that we are going to get some mandatory fields, but we are not getting that data. So all your analysis, you can take it back. So in today's session, we are going to see how Athena can help us. And mainly Athena, before we start this lab, what we need to know is we want to make sure that we have already data files on S3 and you have access to the S3 files. And then what we will do is quickly we will create a glue database and then we will try to create a table using the S3 file data. Then we will access the data through Athena. So what we will do is that as you can see here, I have already taken care of creating a particular folder called SA Srini's Academy Athena demo. And inside what I have done is I have created a couple of data files where emp underscore raw data, what it contains is the real raw data. Like as you can see here, there is a employee ID, employee first name, employee last name, like that we have a couple of records. I'm not focusing here like the volume of the data or number of columns, but just for clearly demonstrate this. Um, how can we read this particular S3 file and how can we fire some queries? So we can extrapolate to millions of data and thousands of columns, but in this case, we will play around with a few limited data so that we are clear on that how we can use Athena. So here you have employee ID, employee first name, employee last name. And now, as I said, we have data file sitting on S3. And what I also did is that I have created a SQL query output. You need to have this particular folder so that anytime you're querying the data from your Athena, you can write back those results into the SQL query output. So before we go into the lab, right, quickly let's get into from AWS documentation, what is Amazon Athena? This is mainly Athena is an interactive query service, and it helps us to query the data from S3. Uh, you don't need to load the data. Simply once you have data on S3, you can query it through Athena in few seconds, and it won't be like you are not bringing any EMR cluster or you are not bringing any big data platforms or you are not loading into Redshift. Simply you have your S3 data and your goal is to query the data and then give it back to your business that it looks good, it doesn't look good. That's it. So we will, let's try to create Athena required work. So as you see here, we have data file and as I described the data file, what we'll do is now go to the services under the analytics. Let's select the Athena. So, so as you see here under analytics, select the Athena. I'll open another tab. So while this Athena is again, right, it is not, it is a managed service, so you don't need to build anything. So as you can see here, the Athena, you can select the data set, you can create a table, you can query the data. So let's click on um, using the Athena now. So while this is coming, right, so it is like your standard query, like if you have fired queries on the any other tools, it is also in a similar way. Only thing, if you notice on the extreme right hand side, where you see that the databases are it's empty. So like you see here, the database is it's not created. So what we'll do is, and you won't see any tables or views, so we will go and create a database, and then you will create a table, and then we will see that how to query that. So to start with, I'll use couple of my existing queries. So what I'll do is simply just I'll take a few queries. As you see here, I'm creating if any database with that name, so I'm dropping it. So um, but before I do this, it is saying that before you run your first query, you need to set up your query results location. So let me go to the settings. As you see here, under this, you can find settings. So under the settings, what I'll do is I'll simply give my S3 query path where I have created. So all my query output, I would like to write it on this S3 SA Athena demo and SQL query output. So if you are using first time, please make sure that you set up this query result location. What it does is that it writes back all your query results, each query wise under this particular folder. So we have to provide these details before we fire the queries. Now we have set that. So what I'll do is I'll go and drop if this particular database is there. So the query is successful. As you see here, everything is default and zero tables and views. What I'll do is I'll create a database called demo underscore Athena DB, and I'm going to create under this particular folder what we just placed all our data files. This is the location where we have all our data files. I'll click this. So as you see here now, in the default, there is a demo underscore Athena DB which we just created. So select the demo underscore Athena DB, and you see here there are no tables, but what we will do is we'll quickly go and create a table now. So there are multiple ways of creating a table. Let's look at that how we can create this table. Click on create table. You can create a table from S3 bucket. Um, And you can also create an AWS crawlers where it can also scan through your data on S3, and it will start creating the required tables. Uh, I would be talking more on the AWS Glue crawlers as a separate topic, but for now you can focus that like how we can create a table from S3 buckets. You can create it from existing S3 data, or you can also create like standard SQL templates where like create table, column name, and you can provide your regular expression. But for now, let's read it from the S3 bucket. So when you select the S3 bucket data, it will ask for that, hey, what is the, where do you want me to create it? By default, and it will create under default, but I would like to create demo underscore Athena DB, which we created. And let's create a raw underscore EMP, which is a employee roster data of raw. So we will provide the location. The location of employee data is here, um, as I told in this S3 session. So all the data is sitting on the S3 bucket. So what I'll do is that I'll provide the S3 location. This is the place where I have all the S3 data, and then click next, and it will provide you like there are multiple ways you can create CSV files, TSV, text files, JSON, Parquet, and ORC. In this case, it is ours is a text file with a custom delimiter. So our delimiter is not tab. I would select other, and I would give a pipe delimiter, which is our pipe delimiter. Um, and then I would remaining both these, you can leave it as is. And then you can come back and provide your column names like emp underscore id. It's coming as a numeric data, but for now, since I'm going to do a data profiling, I would leave it as a string. And then I can add more number of columns, emp underscore f name. I would select as a string, and I would add emp underscore l name, which is a last name, and I would put as a string. And you can add more number of columns, but for now I think we only have 3 columns, so I would click next. So if you want to add any S3 partitions and all, you can do, but it's an optional. For now I will ignore it. Click on create table. So now as you see here, your table is created. Again, you are not manipulating any data which is sitting on S3. What you are doing is you are creating a metadata object on top of your S3, so that you are clearly telling to Athena that, hey, look at these S3 files and read in this format, which is a pipe delimited. And this is my first column, second column, third column. That's what you have provided. So dynamically, like if you look at it, is creating an external table under this particular database with this table name. And these are the 3 columns which we provided. And we also told that the format is a pipe delimited, and which is the location, and read the location from the S3 SA Athena demo location. So we are told clearly S3 location delimiter, and you are giving the list of columns, data types, and you are telling that clearly I want to create under this particular database. So now your table is created as you see here, raw underscore emp, and all this table is created. So what we will do is we'll quickly go and query the data what we created. So as you see here, you can run an ANSI SQL or any standard SQL queries. You can do all the queries with where conditions, inner joins, group bys, all the other types of data you can do it. So let's try to query the data. Now select star from, we will use demo underscore Athena underscore db dot raw underscore emp limit 100. So we are telling that, hey, get me the first 100 records belongs to the demo underscore Athena db dot raw underscore emp. Click run query. So this will get you the data. So you are not bringing any EMR cluster. You are not bringing any uh, AWS services, other than what you did is that, hey, you created a table. Now you are able to query as you see that EMP ID, EMP first name, EMP last name, whatever the data, right? 100 to all the way 600. You are able to see all the data, and it will give you all the data, and now you are able to query the data. If you want to save, you can save as. If you want to create a separate table, an example like create table, let's say you want to create only 2 columns. uh, so I don't want emp underscore. What I'll do is emp underscore transformed as select emp underscore id comma emp underscore f name from, I'm going to put from this demo underscore emp. So what we are trying to do is that to create table, a new table name emp underscore trans as select only 2 columns from this particular database, like you do it in our standard databases. Watch out here, you only have one table, but when you create here, it will create the second table under this tables. So you can create a table from table, you can create a query from the table. You can also create certain views if you want to. You can create it so that your business logic would stay. So as you see here, the second table got created, and first table was earlier created from S3. And this is how you can create tables from the S3 files. So once you have your S3 files, create a database and then create a tables. You can create it from the S3 files directly, or you can create with the column names, and you can also create a table as from the existing table. There are several ways, but now as we saw that we are able to query the data from the S3 file. So when you run this, it is scanning the S3 file and it's pulling you the data what you wanted. So that's what about our how to query the data from S3. And this is what I would like to cover it, as we have created a database S3 files accessing the data through Athena. Hope this is informative, and if you like my videos, please subscribe and look forward for the other big data specialty videos. Thank you for watching.